Introduce our speaker this morning, who is Kevin Terry Smith. Kevin is the founder of Ollie Awake, a company that creates innovative gender equal apparel. They have 6 years of experience building brands, creative strategy, and marketing campaigns. Speaking on the theme this morning of spectrum, please join me in welcoming Kevin Terry Smith.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you are all having a wonderful day today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So fingers crossed for technology working. I'm going to go ahead and dive right in with video, and then I will start talking. So, thank you, David, for the intro. So my name is Kevin Terry Smith. I use pronouns they, them. And I'm going to talk today about a show that Ollie Awake did and presented at the Columbus Museum of Art last April. And in that, I hope to maybe give a little bit of insight about how you can use symbolism to really convey a complex idea. So before I dive in, I want to give just a little bit of background about Ollie Awake and about me and my journey, because it's relevant to the story that the show was telling. So I always say a good idea comes from the dark. Ollie Awake has been a part of my life for about 3 years now. Celeste Malvar-Stewart and I actually have worked together for about 2 years or so on this project. She is my creative rock, the master muse, and I would be remiss in not saying first that she is one of my heroes. So my history with clothing has always been a little bit treacherous. So as you can see here, I am the one on the far left of this picture, kind of just trying to fit into this scene here. I have always sort of felt like clothing was a box that I was put in. And it really, especially back in this age, which was like confirmation age, I felt as though clothing was a way to communicate to me what I was supposed to be as a human. So that means like who I'm supposed to love, what gender I'm supposed to live into, and these, what we call outer norms. So moving forward in life, retail is designed, as we know, between men's and women's wear sections. And those sections communicate norms just like they go all the way back and run all the way through society. And when you select something from one of those sections, you are essentially accepting the decisions that someone else has made and what his society has decided should be on your body based on your gender identity. And that was something that 2 years ago, Celeste and I really wanted to change. So we have worked to create what is now known as Ollie Awake. So as David said, we're a gender equal clothing company. So we think of ourselves as an empowerment clothing brand. We design pieces with intention to be gender equal. We go back to the very beginning foundations of design to really focus on how we can be a resource for the community. And I like to think that this is hopefully going to create a pathway for the little people like me, in 6th grade that maybe don't want to wear the suit and maybe want to wear something else. And this is kind of the spiritual heart of Ollie Awake, is to reach out to other people. So the show that we did in April, this was really important for us. This was last April in 2019. The Columbus Museum of Art is, as we know, so wonderful. We have Lauren in the room, and Betsy, I think I also saw in here. if Cindy's in here too, shout out to her as well. They were all so critical for bringing this show to reality. So the museum approached us to do something that would really, introduce us to the community. And for us, it meant that we were going to be able to, for the first time, really concisely communicate our brand and our concept and what we wanted to say to the world. So that's a lot to ride on one show. And how we approached it really was to mirror the journey that we felt that our customers or our the people we're trying to reach were going through. So we designed it in 3 acts. And I'm going to break down each act, what we did within those acts, and I'll show you the act as right after I talk about it. So Act 1 featured the unbelievable Deja Redman, who's the owner of Replenish the Spa Co-op here in Columbus. Highly recommend for all of your spa / massage / yoga needs. She's an incredible energy worker as well. And she represented basically the little Kevin, the little kid inside of all of us that has never been able to see the light. And I almost forgot that the theme of the show, which is why I thought of this show when I heard the theme of today, Spectrum, that it was out of darkness into light. So the journey of this character, Deja, the character that Deja is playing, is someone that's going from darkness, from non-inspiration to seeing the light and passing that on. So Act 1 is an internal struggle. So this is basically all of us before we are enlightened, before we realize who we are. And when she enters the space, we had designed the whole room in like a circle. The whole show like revolves around a circle. And we wanted Deja to embody, basically essentially be the summoner of, oh, by the way, I'm gonna get really meta and like kind of weird. So just like, go with me. We wanted Deja to be the summoner of the energy that Ollie was bringing into the world. So she enters the space and it's in semi-darkness. And throughout the show, she is basically drawing in that the energy of Ollie. And the music that we played was actually from Billie Eilish. And the line that she says in there was, "I could lie and say I like it like this." And she kind of repeats that over and over. And really that is the embodiment of this particular act. So I'll go ahead and let you watch this part. A little bit louder, I promise. So don't like blow out your speakers if I'm turning it up really loud right now.
Like it like, say I like it like that, like it like. Like it like, say I like it like that, like it. It's really good.
So that was Act 1. So Act 2 was when our Ollie energy enters the room. And that was played by the wonderful Russell Halechi of Flux and Flow Dance Company. And this is the part where you get the external enlightenment or the spark of realization that you want to make a change, or that your personal understanding of the world can be different, your worldview can be changed. So Russell really represents the spirit of Ollie. And when I say like communicating a complex idea, we didn't really expect the audience to be able to understand every single thing that was kind of like being embedded into this, but we hoped that they would at least start to see the arc and the journey of basically what really is enlightenment. So you'll see in this part of the show that the lights start to like come up, and we used a song called Satisfaction by OG Volta, which I'm sure I butchered, that's super hard. And the lyrics from that say, I'm not gonna give you the satisfaction. And it really is basically the push against to say, no, I'm not gonna lie and say I like it the way things are. I want something different for the world. And in this moment, Deja kind of like sits in the center of the circle. And this was an amazing moment because we had planned for her at this point to sit down, was like what we had kind of like talked through. But an hour before, her and Russell just like jived in this like really wonderful way. And they almost like spontaneously started like interacting in this incredible way. And I think that that was just like one of the many lessons from this, is that when you get people that really believe in what you're doing and really understand the concept, it's incredible, all of the little creative sparks that happen in the margins. And I know that, you know, I'm sure lots of people on the call have experienced this before, about like positioning for success. But this was that moment. And so I'll let you watch this part.
One body, two souls, 3 words you'll never know. Sound makes it harder. I stop being mad about it. Subconscious oceans of plagiarized emotion. With you so alone, still I ain't even mad about it. I bet you would like that. I bet you would. But I'm not gonna give you that kind of satisfaction. No, I'm not gonna give you that kind of
I'm sorry to keep breaking it up because it's so beautiful. I kind of get chills every time I see that particular act, when like you can almost see them like almost touching. It's very like Sistine Chapel. One of the things that I think was important about this too is that we had limited resources to be able to like play with lighting and do like that kind of space control. And we had 3 giant screens though. So I ended up creating a slideshow or like a video synced up with the music that was able to like use those screens as almost like lights that we didn't have to basically add. So when you see like flashes or anything like that, that was like what the screens like contributed. That's just a fun little tidbit. So the final act of the show, really like the denouement of Ali Awake, you might say, is the impact into the community. And this is the final step that we want our, people, when we are trying to like communicate to our audience what we think is this concept. The final concept is, and Celeste like knows this all about this, final concept is spreading the idea into the community and actually making an impact in how people think about gender and how people think about fashion, especially gender norms, all of that. There's a quote from Marianne Williamson that says that as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. And as we are free from our own fear, or as we're liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. And that's the whole thing about this final act, is that this is when all of our like quote unquote muses came in. We call them muses instead of models because they were really just like our people that I just like begged to be in shows. And the beauty of it was that, and Chris on the call is one of the people, so you're going to see him walk in. The beauty was that to really capture this concept, we had to use the widest possible spectrum of people. And I think that it would not have been a complete concept had we not done that. You'll see people differing in age, differing in gender identity, pretty much everything. And we only had 2 looks. So we only had 2 different outfits, basically, that we put on all these different people. And that was our final way of saying, this is the concept. And we had people coming up to us after the show that were like, whoa, I never got this until I saw it before me. So we basically turned the fashion show idea on its head. So instead of a bunch of models that look exactly the same wearing different pieces, we put 2 of the same outfits on a bunch of different people. And that's, I think, really probably what ties this most back into Spectrum. So I'll let you watch this part and then I'll like do my final little like. finale of the show. And I think it's important that they stayed out in the audience and kind of faced away from Deja in order to represent that they were projecting that energy out. And if you notice, Deja really like entered like a meditative state, and that was like very much something that like Celeste and I really wanted. And Deja is just incredible. And so the whole thing just came together. And I think that one of the big lessons, my kind of like my final wrap up thoughts, is that like when you're creating something, when you're creating a brand, when you're working on your projects, like if you find people that really believe in what you're doing and really sync with your concept, you don't have to worry about whether or not they're going to perform, because just like Deja and Russell and all of the muses that came out at the end, that moment of the spontaneous creation and the spontaneous moments was just so beautiful. And it really kind of manifested a concept into reality. No longer were they performing Ollie Awake. They literally were Ollie Awake. Our concept was present before us in the room. And that was the most incredible feeling. The other thing, or the other sort of learning, is that, you know, like I really believe that community generates the highest forms of inspiration. And when we talk about spectrum, and really the theme of this talk is that if you only have like one color of light, and you don't have the entire spectrum of light, you can't see the concept before you. Like just when like it's a red room, like everything's in red, it's difficult to see the clear path. If you want to have a full concept, if you want to be able to understand things at a higher level and understand the way that the world works, finding the most diversity, the most inclusive environment that we can create for ourselves is so critical. And I think Ollie lends itself to that, I hope and I dream. And I think that this is just an ever expanding area that we're always going to be holding close to the heart of what we do. So that is my lesson about spectrum for today. And I think the triumph of the show was that it became the Ollie story, just like I said, is that it's just going back to the little Kevin in 6th grade, or the other people, like children and that are, you know, maybe just trying to figure out who they are, or even like people that are in their 50s or 60s or 70s that are just trying to figure out who they are. And we can all be in like journeys, and that is what Ollie wants to be for the world, and that is what this show, I hope, projected, was journey, understanding, leaving confusion and chaos and darkness, and entering and finding community and being able to see the light. So thank you, everyone. I appreciate you listening to me babble today. So I appreciate it. Oh, and please follow us at ollieawake.com, and you can go to our Instagram. We're going to be dropping a new collection soon, which is very exciting. So thank you.
Kevin, thank you. Thank you so much. So I've some questions, but I'm sure everyone else here in the Zoom room has questions as well. So if you want to go ahead and put those in the chat box, we'll look those over, and we might also ask you to unmute and talk a little bit more. So I'd like to start, Kevin, if I may. So you had said something that really struck me. You had made reference to the creative sparks that happen in the margins. Could you tell me a little bit more about what you mean by that and how you experience that?
Yeah, and it's interesting. I mean, Celeste and I know this like super well, and pretty much everyone that kind of like works with our concept, we really rely on our muses and on our people to bring kind of dimensions that we could never have even seen that were even possible. And I think you know that you're onto something really good when that starts happening. And it's not like it only happens for me in Ollie Wake, but in other work that I do as well, like for Equitas Health, when you bring together people that really believe in what you're doing and people that really understand it, people are creating themselves as well. So it becomes like a system of like all these different people creating, and it aligns in a really beautiful way.
Craig Diaz asks, what was the most challenging aspect of creating and planning the show?
Oh God.
Mm.
It was a heavy lift. I remember right after doing that, I was like, well, I don't know if I want to do that ever again. But I did, you know, you recover or whatever. I think probably the most challenging part was that, I mean, really pulling together with limited resources, something like that, of that like size and scope, was added complexity. But I think that one thing that helped was trying to think of as many ways to make things easier for yourself, like even little things like how I only submitted a video file that had the audio like embedded into it, so I wasn't like, you know, like waffling around. I didn't have to worry about video and audio the entire time. Someone just had to press play, and we were good. And then very simple instructions. The walk pattern you probably saw was a little complicated, and I think that
Did
that
you
was
choreograph that?
What? Sorry.
Did you choreograph that?
Yes, Celeste and I did all the choreo. Well, besides Russell, obviously we didn't choreograph Russell. Oh my God, or Deja really. She kind of inspired that from ever. But yeah, we gave every muse. We tried to tell them like go. Chris will remember this probably fondly or with horror, but like that like go around the circle once and then find your spot. And even though it didn't work, like it wasn't perfect, but you really can't tell. Like I don't think anyone would ever know that like, you know, that like certain people were in certain different positions. It all worked out because again, we had people that knew what was going on and people that were like critically thinking. So like Mary Cusick, for instance, she saw that like there was a space right there for her and she just got in it. And I'm like, thank you. Perfect. So yeah.
Had you ever engaged in choreography before, or the design of movement? Or is this something you've done before?
I mean, I was in like marching band. I
Okay.
mean, well, a little bit, I guess. I think it's always just been like something that's exciting for me to think about. I did like I did stuff in college that's kind of embarrassing to talk about. But a little bit, yeah. I have a little bit.
So Alicia Smith says she loved the music, and we got a lot of comments about the music. How much time went into selecting the music and finding the perfect lyrics to embody exactly what you wanted people to feel from what they were taking in with their eyes and their ears?
Yeah, thank you for noticing that. Because Celeste knows I like labor over it for a really long time to figure out the perfect song. And I really love creating, and we both love creating concepts that are just like really layered with meaning. So I mean that easily was something that was being worked on for months probably, of me like sending ideas to Celeste and like us talking about them and being like, I don't know if that's the right one or this is the right one. So Celeste, if you have something to add there, you can go ahead. But yeah.
So Betsy Pike wants to know, where did the word Ollie, or where did the name Ollie Awake come from?
Yeah, so Ollie Awake is actually a name that we put together after we kind of lost the other name that we had named this concept. And but I say that in a positive way because really Ollie Awake came to us in the time that we needed it most to really like bring life, because the first name wasn't really doing it for us. And that's the reason that we decided to change. And Ollie, the word Ollie, we wanted a name. We wanted to like a name of a persona, and then we wanted like an action word. And Ollie had always been part of our brand persona. Ollie was, you know, this person that represented an aspiration of what we were trying to get to. And then Ollie also has meaning with like Greek roots and Latin roots or I should say Latin roots as being part of olive tree, symbol of wisdom, knowledge, truth. And then awake being the action word. I think once you watch that show, you can realize how awake is totally what we're trying to bring into the world, is to help people see the light and understand new concepts.
You've used the word muse several times. You describe Celeste as your creative muse. You say you refer to the people exhibiting the clothes. You call them muses rather than models. Who is a muse, and what's the role of the muse, or what's your relationship with the muse in your creative process?
I think that really we define a muse as our people. So Celeste and I take so much, like really the foundation of our inspiration for our work comes from the people that are the ones that when they try on our pieces, they're like, I've never experienced anything like this before. Like this isn't something that I've felt before. And I think part of it is that it's hard to draw like in a specific line in the sand and be like, I would never say like these people aren't muses and these people are muses. But you know, when we refer to our muses, there are people that like really embody the spirit of Ollie. And whether that means that they are ambassadors, or they're walking down the runway for us. Usually it's a combination of all the things. So sorry. I always joke that like when Celeste and I ask someone to do something, they're gonna be like involved in doing like 1,000 other things, and photo shoots and all of it. And I think the importance of using real people is so critical for what Ollie Awake stands for. And I only say real people because obviously models are real people as well, but typically they are wearing a concept rather than believing in a concept. I mean, that's not a dig at models, this is how it works. We had, for instance, Kentuan, the beautiful, incredibly tall person that walked at the end of our show in those humongous heels, is a professional model, but he's also our muse, So yeah.
Perry Wallinger asks, has there been anything in particular that's helped to clarify your vision and direction for Ollie Awake?
Sorry, can you say that again?
Has there been anything in particular that has helped to clarify your vision and direction for Ollie Awake?
My God, Celeste and I know there's probably been like 1,000 moments. I feel like I've said that a lot, but there have been a few critical moments that really changed our perspective. One was going into 2019. We really actually got a lot of feedback from our muses about about our products. And we made significant shifts to the line. And I think that honestly, like really towards the end, towards like the middle of last year and really beginning this year, we've really come into like real crystallized understanding about what Ollie Awake was, or is, I should say. Celeste and I have worked on this for, we did our very first show was in 2017, at the end of 2017. And it was a total concept. And it was really just playing with the idea of gender neutral. And to go from like just a very, very simple on paper idea to get to where it is now, where it has fully understood direction and vision and values and mission and what we want for the world. We really understand it now. And Celeste and I talk a lot during like brainstorming sessions about how like we've come just like it feels like 10,000 miles, from where we were. And a lot of that is thanks to our muses and thanks to our people, because if we didn't have people that were on our team that were telling us honestly what they thought, we would never be able to make these changes. And so we're endlessly, kind of like in their debt, I suppose you could say. But that debt always hopefully gets paid back by creating beautiful things.
Kevin, I want to read what Rod Chu has reminded us. And he says, those of us of a certain age are familiar with the children's phrase, "Ollie Ollie oxen free." And he gives us a definition, which is really interesting. He says, a catchphrase used in children's games such as hide and seek, capture the flag, kick the can, to indicate that players who are hiding can come out into the open without losing the game.
I
And
love
so I don't
that.
know if that was part of your reason for selecting Ollie, but I agree with Rod. That does seem very appropriate, doesn't it?
I mean, there you
Sandra
go.
Lopez, I'm sorry.
I mean, there you go. Like people have endless like understandings, and it's so cool.
That's
So
just
thank you.
marvelous. Sandra Lopez says,
Hi, Sandra.
2020 has been especially hard on the fashion industry, and we've seen some big names, some big brands closing down, but some small designers are thriving. And she wants to know, how has COVID influenced your next collection?
That's a really good question.
It
So,
is.
COVID has definitely hit our kind of operations in terms of like our like what we've been doing this year. We've kind of been a little bit like dormant. Part of that is that our production got hit really hard at the beginning of the year and shut down, and it really. But here's the interesting part: is that, and Celeste and I feel like both kind of have talked about this, that we felt like we were going like 1,000 miles a minute before. Like we were going from show to show to show to show. Like there was always like the next thing and the next thing, which is wonderful. I mean, please, like we need press. But there, this moment that we've had to kind of like take a breath, to like step like back from like the action of constantly performing and doing, and to like really critically think about our brand, think about the products. I've started to view it almost like a gift, to be honest. And I know that that's really crazy because there's like so much suffering going on in the world right now. But I think that in a lot of ways, trying to find the goodness out of like a lot of pain and suffering is sometimes a really good like survival tactic and a good thriving tactic as well. And so I think choosing to look at this moment as a moment of contemplation and planning has been wonderful for us. So the next collection, I won't give away anything because there's some really, really exciting stuff that we're working on with collaborators. But I really think that people will look at this collection and be like, this is the next level.
So Jody Engel wants to know, what have you noticed is happening around gender neutral clothing and products for school age kids? You started this talk off with a picture of you from 6th grade. Have you done any work around this in your experiences thus far?
So no, we haven't, but that we get that question a lot about creating a line for kids, or frankly, just sizing our pieces in kind of like youth and children's sizes. And it's definitely on our radar. I wish it's one of the beautiful things about Ollie is that it speaks to so many people at so many different ages and so many different places that and we have like this much resources and like I think the broad amount of people that want Ollie is beautiful. And we are going through a fundraising round right now to and it's like crowd-based type deal to work, and it's like on the way. We're not really in it yet, but we're about to be. And part of that is to be able to have enough resources to start thinking about providing for all these different audiences. Because I would love to do like a kids/juniors line. Like absolutely, we get that question like all the time. So thank you.
We've run up against time. Kevin, if you'll permit this observation as a way to sort of close it out, what you presented here, sort of starting with your journey in 6th grade, if not sooner, and sort of bringing us up to the show and to Ollie Awake and these other sorts of ideas you have. I mean, you're clearly someone with tremendous vision, and I think it's a word. In some ways, I think we overuse it. You know, anybody that has any sort of product that comes out of Silicon Valley, we call a visionary, and I think there are very few real visionaries. But I think that I would very much like to categorize you as a visionary. And so thank you so much for sharing your vision with us this morning. Just terrific.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm seeing.
Thank you.
Lauren, I think as has been our practice in Zoom calls, we're going to stay on a few more minutes, I think, and have everyone have open mics. Kevin, if you're able to stay, maybe you can take a few more questions or comments, or maybe people will want to try to get more ideas about what your next collection is going to look like, even though you're being very protective of that, which I completely understand. The only thing I would note is that next month we'll meet on October 16th, and Demetrius Thomas will be our speaker. The theme next month will be transit. And again, hopefully you're able to join us once again in Zoom until that day when we are able to meet face to face once again. Thank you again. Thank you again, Kevin. Open your mics.
Thank you for inviting me to do this. Appreciate it.
Open your mics and please let's continue conversation.
Thank you, Kevin. This was so inspiring, and I loved revisiting that night at the museum with all of your muses, and it gave me chills.
That was a really fun show. It was kind of like peak moment of 2019, and there was a lot of behind the scenes, sort of like in the backstage area, that was like also like really joyful and wonderful when all the muses arrived, and it was just like this like entourage of like the most like beautiful people that were just like drinking champagne, and like my parents who are on the call right now they just showed up like in the room with like a wheelie suitcase of champagne, and my dad had like a towel over his arm, and he was just like pouring champagne like to everyone. It was like exactly what was needed in the moment, and yeah, so that was really special.
I did have a question for you. You clearly have so much passion and creativity, both you and Celeste, in this whole process and creation of Ollie Awake. Is there any parts of like creating it, growing it that that feel overwhelming or uncertain? And then how do you deal with that? Basically, like, is there anything that you're not amazing at?
Oh my God. I wish we were amazing at so many things that we're not amazing at. Celeste is like giggling. I feel like too, if Celeste, if you wanna chime in on this, definitely feel free. I know that production has been like a learning sort of area for us. So we're still getting a lot better at that, I think is the positive way to say that. But yeah, there's so much to learn about. I mean, I remember I was talking to my friend Josh back when like way before like even Ollie was a thing. And I was like, because at first I wanted to start like a clothing store in the short north that was like a gender neutral boutique and like buy wholesale pieces. But I couldn't find anything that really like meshed. And so that's when I approached Celeste. But I remember at the time, I was like, I think I need to figure out how to make clothing. He was like, oh, my head hurts. I don't even want to think about like how that is. And he was right. It's really hard. But it's also, when it works, it's like really wonderful. Celeste, did you have anything to add to that?
I think probably I think we're not great at, following the fashion norms in terms of seasons and collections. So Kevin and I, we get together and we just like, at Lindy's at happy hour, and we're like, oh my God, this is such a great idea. Let's do this. But then we have to keep ourselves in that practical place of like, okay, wait, this is still a brand. This does still fall into fashion in some realm. And so we're working on that still, I think, right?
Yeah. it's like the clouds and the reality are always like, but you have to keep a string tied to the clouds if you want to come up with the shit that people think is really cool. So it's like always that battle of like staying grounded and then also having like endless creative ideas.
Celeste, well, I'm sure that you've had a lot of great creative experiences, like a million of them compared to me. Kevin, I will never forget our first meeting together when we went to the Rossi, and I'm drunk on 2 drinks and I don't drink very often, but it was delicious. And Kevin was literally so passionate in just telling me about his brand and about everything he was putting together. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love this person so much and they are incredible. And I walked back to my apartment that night and I thought, I'm just going to put this business email together now. And it was probably the first email I ever sent. I don't know if drunk is the appropriate word, but I felt the passion that Kevin had literally put into me. I feel like it was a really special night and I'll never forget that. So
And Autumn is wonderful, and she did the first photo in that slide deck, the one of Ken Tuan where he's like, so incredibly talented you are. So thank you.
Thank you.
That was our first photo shoot like ever as a brand.
Wow.
That was like a learning. I learned so much. It was just like diving in head first. So you helped a lot with that too.
Kevin, is there anything else that you didn't get to squeeze into your talk that you want to mention today or share or ask?
No, I mean, Celeste, did you have anything that you wanted to add, I suppose, before I think of yet another thing that I could say?
Somebody asked about the music and I put it in the comments box, but I just I really miss this. I love Kevin and I agree. Autumn, Kevin is just, you get close to him and you can already feel this incredible, beautiful energy. And you are my hero. So, I mean, if heroes can be heroes for each other, it's great. But I really miss jumping in the car. Kevin would come pick me up and they'd be sitting in their car and playing this loud music, and then I'd come into the car and then they'd be like, listen to this song. I think this is perfect for this event or for this moment or for this, and we would drive to Lindy's, which is a very short ways away, with this blaring music. And Kevin just has that. I think every moment, I think it's about living Ollie, really, and not just Ollie being a concept, but yeah, with the music even, that's just embedded in their being and passion. And so I miss that, Kevin. I miss that too. Thank you for saying all those wonderful things. And I think it's partly like Celeste and I have talked about this at other events before, but the idea of like creative collaboration. I talked about community and how it takes your creation to like a whole different level, but even just having like a collaborator and even having someone to like, when one becomes two in terms of like the mind meld that can happen, it's just a whole different, it takes it to the whole next level. And so, I mean, like even those songs, like, having Celeste understand and get it right, you know what I mean? Like we don't have to take a lot of time to be like, sell an idea with Celeste, it's like, what do you think of this? And she's like, and like, then it's being like built out in like all these ways. And yeah, I do miss that. I miss those kind of brainstorming moments with cocktails.
We have about 5 more minutes until we're going to close out the Zoom. Is there any other questions anyone wanted to ask Kevin?
I wanted to hear him talk about living in the light, because what Celeste was saying about them really, to me, is the light inside Kevin really spills out and covers over everyone around them. So I'd like
This
to
is
hear
like a
about
really intense compliment shower, and I don't like compliments all that much. So this is like internally painful.
that.
But
Okay, well, we have some criticisms too. Did you want that?
yeah, let's do it. About light and how it shines. Is that what your question is?
Light.
This is my mom, everyone.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm allowed to be sassy with her. So, I mean, I think that the light that you share with others comes from, in turn, from people that love you, and so I don't really feel like a certain sense of ownership of the light. You know what I mean? It's not something that anyone can really own and be like, it comes from this person or it comes from that person. Like, we're really all part of, we're getting real meta now. Brandy and I talked about this when we were planning this talk. I don't know if she's still here, but we got real meta. But you know, the idea, and like Ollie has had this concept of light for a while. Like, it's just been part of our like shows. Our color, our brand colors are like a light cream and like a dark sort of gray-ish color. And I think that there's like, when you bring together all these people, it all just like gets even brighter and brighter, you know? So I suppose that's a rambling discussion about light and darkness. But Celeste, did you have anything to add about light?
That was perfect.
I love this conversation, and I would be happy to have it keep going on forever and ever, but we have just like 2 more minutes. But I had like a similar question, Kevin's mom, about like, what is your, however you want to frame it, like your spiritual practice, like your creative practice, how do you build resilience and stamina and stay centered so that you are in touch with that living in the light space? What does that look like for you?
Ooh, that's tough, because especially I feel like recently there have been moments of darkness, especially in like just in the world, and so it can be hard sometimes to find that light again. But I think that it's really my friends that always like bring me back, you know. I think in the absolute worst moment of Ollie, I don't know if Craig Diaz is still on this call or not, but he was one person who just like kind of like reached me out of like the dark and like pulled me out. And I think communing, I keep going back to this, but for me, that's like my ultimate source of energy, is just communing with people. And that's how you can always get back to the light, I think.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing so much of yourself with us this morning.
Yeah, it's just so meta in the morning. It's like all this coffee. I'm just like, ooh. So anyway.
And thank you everyone for joining us.